Happy Halloween, fellow adventurers. Sorry I've been MIA for the last couple months. I've been dealing with some personal bollocks, shall we say, and haven't really felt up for making videos. So I don't have a full-length review ready in time for Halloween. So instead, here's 5 of the spookiest adventure games released this year. Warning, they're so spooky you may not believe your eyes. The Night is Grey was one of the first adventure games I played this year. I remember it well. It was a dark and stormy night, and the sky was not so much black, it was grey. Our character Graham bursts onto the scene and looks like he's running from something. It might have something to do with these ravenous wolves lurking in the forest. We come across a log cabin and meet a little girl who seems to have been left all alone in these wolf-infested woods. We decide to take her with us along with her pet plushie Storky, who's actually a stork, but not just any stork. It's a stork who can talk. It's too bad there's no voice acting, as I think it would have added another shade of grey to the game, and help us understand the characters better. Graham is not the most optimistic guy. In fact, he spends most of the time talking about how broken and worthless he is, as well as sighing a lot. I can appreciate his feelings, but it does get to be a bit of a downer after a while, and even the titles in between chapters talk down to us. According to this guy, we're nothing but a piece of shit that a fly spat out. The language in this game can feel a bit out of place, and again, voice acting would help clarify the tone of the dialogue, as I can't always tell if Graham is a sympathetic character or just a twat. The heart of the game is his relationship with the girl and how they grow to understand each other on their journey. She doesn't really help at all other than to sit and wait for us to solve puzzles, which for me weren't the most interesting and took me out of the story. Even Graham gets annoyed at this puzzle that looks like it came out of Monkey Island. I remember getting really frustrated wandering around in these mines, although I appreciated the Silent Hill 2 reference as it's one of my favorite games of all time, and the remake just came out, but that's another story. Overall, I loved this game's setting and atmosphere, just not so much the puzzles. And without giving away any spoilers, the story didn't turn out the way I expected. An English Haunting is developed by Postmodern Adventures, a sharp-dressed guy with a light bulb for a head, who also made the phantasmagoric Nightmare frames. The story is set in London in 1907, when everything was made out of good old-fashioned pixels, and we play as Professor Patrick Moore, who's something of a ghost hunter and believes that ghosts exist. His students and others aren't convinced, however, and our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to prove that ghosts exist in only 72 hours. We really gotta get our ghost hunting ghoulies on to accomplish this, and on top of that, we're kicked out of our fiancée Rose's house despite our protestations. So, how do we go about proving the existence of ghosts? By investigating a haunted house, of course, but not just any bog-standard haunted house. This is the Everest of haunted houses, and we're going to climb it using all the supernatural knowledge at our disposal, including this lovely photo of an old lady vomiting ectoplasm. Despite all the spooky stuff, this game has a very realistic feel to it and does a fantastic job at recreating the time period when George Méliès was producing the first motion pictures with special effects. The pixel art is exquisitely detailed and each screen is bustling with life, with people passing by on the street and birds perched on the buildings, as well as the local prostitutes who make no secret about what they're up to. Later in the game, we make it out of London to visit Scotland, which feels like something out of the excavation of Hobbs Barrow. Some druids also show up, and of course anything with druids is brilliant. At one point, we get to control Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, famous for creating Sherlock Holmes, though he's fed up with people always going on about it. Personally, I prefer Nightmare frames, but an English Haunting has the power to possess you with its pixels. The Phantom Fellows is a labour of love by developer Paul Corman, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the Adventure Game Fanfare this year, along with his collaborator Anna Vigu. This has to be the game I played the most this year, around 50 hours, as I was involved in playtesting it and it's a long game spanning 7 days. I'm going to save all the details for a separate video, but for now I'll just say that this is a very unique and personal game that I feel very privileged to be a part of, apart from the fact that I also have a cameo. And it's definitely one of my games of the year along with the Crimson Diamond.
Alright,
Awesome.
I think that's it.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. That was so cool.
Devil's Hideout is the latest from Cosmic Void, who has a galaxy of other games like Blood Nova, Twilight Oracle, and Tachyon Dreams. They all share a signature style that's hard to describe, but there's a certain ethereal quality about them that I'm drawn to like a cosmic moth to starlight. A medium tells us that our younger sister Beth didn't die in the hospital like we thought, but has apparently been kidnapped by a screwy bunch of devil cultists. So we have to find her with the help of our good friend Atticus, who I'm sure will stay with us for the whole game.
Atticus! Oh God, what have they done to you?
Oh well, I guess we're on our own. There doesn't seem to be anyone else around here, but suddenly this guy called Callum shows up, who's obviously not a cultist judging by that hat.
Hey! It's my lucky hat. It keeps me safe.
Callum ends up giving us his precious hat after beating him in a game of blackjack, and tells us to find 3 ritual bells and ring them in the Chamber of the Dead, as you do.
3 ritual bells, ring them in the Chamber of the Dead. Got it.
This game keeps you on edge by jump scaring you by using its Kickstarter backers as the recently deceased come back to haunt you, like fellow adventurers Mike Piontek, Ramon Wilhelm, and Roberta Vaughn. Roberta in particular kept popping up to scare the socks off me. We encounter some genuinely creepy and macabre scenes, like a bathtub full of blood, this body coming to life out of the wall, and a mysterious cloaked stranger who I suspect is up to no good.
Brace yourself, Lauren. Before the night is out, a red star shall twinkle, and the cult shall rain blood from the sky.
Let their blood rain from the sky!
Despite all the spooky stuff, it's also strangely amusing, and for some reason I found it funny watching this guy fall to his death.
Shit!
Oh, and there's also a clown for those who have coulrophobia.
Don't look so startled. The party's about to get started. I'm bursting with fun!
Boo! Gotcha, sucker!
Prim was just recently released about a week ago, after being in development for a few years and had a Kickstarter in early 2021, when I interviewed developer Jonas Fish.
Hi, I'm Jonas, I'm from Germany, and I'm the game developer behind Prim.
The first thing we have to decide is whether to cut this life thread, with the assistance of the 3 Fates, all voiced by Sally Beaumont.
What are you waiting for, mortal? Make your choice.
The human turned to Atropos, hoping for a solution to the dilemma, but no answer was forthcoming.
Remember, Sunshine, you don't have to do this.
Well, if we want to play the game, we have no choice but to go ahead. We play as Prim, who starts off as an ordinary girl in the company of her best friend Tristan, but soon Death himself shows up to change her life, literally. In fact, it's no spoiler that Prim is none other than Death's daughter.
Death has a daughter. This is ridiculous.
Prim isn't happy with having her life taken away, and doesn't have a great relationship with her father. She plans an escape from her room with the help of a cute spider eye, and opens a portal to the land of the living where she reunites with Tristan, but they don't exactly live happily ever after.
No. No. This can't be real.
And so, back in the realm of the dead, our adventure really begins, as Prim must bring Tristan back to life using what's called the Orpheus method, which is a simple task of finding Tristan's soul, life thread, and a phoenix feather. It's a fetch quest where our best friend's life is literally on the line, which sounds like heavy stuff, but the game is much more lighthearted and feels more like a Tim Burton movie in glorious black and white. It's easy to forget that we're on a life or death mission when the world we're exploring looks so strangely inviting. I ended up spending a lot of time playing this card game called Casketball, which is quite addictive once you start collecting some of the better cards. One of the cards features Lake Cubilius, who's backed many Kickstarters, and I interviewed him a few months ago. I really need to get that interview out along with a bunch of other videos, so hopefully I'll recover my mojo enough to do all that. One thing's for sure though, it's a great time for adventure gaming and the genre is far from dead.